it's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story Podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, this is Ivy Slater, and welcome to another podcast with Her Success Story. Today we have an amazing woman, a woman who I admire really greatly, and I'm just through the interview having the opportunity to get to know, but I've followed her from afar. So I'm very excited to share with you Kristy Wallace. Kristy is the CEO of Ellevate Network. For those of you who are not familiar with Ellevate Network, it's a global community for professional women. Kristy drives the overall strategy and the vision of the organization, redefining how women network in a digital age. In her 20 plus years of experience in solving problems, building and scaling businesses, reimagining industries, and cultivating some strong, successful teams, Kristy has become a leader in her own right, a speaker on leadership, diversity, social entrepreneurship, of course, networking, and is a fabulous woman who is just well connected out there and shows up with a big heart to give and connect. And that means the world to me. For those new listeners, you have something really special in store for you. For those subscribers, welcome back. Welcome, Kristy.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here.
So share a little bit of your journey, of what your backstory is to now taking on the leadership of a national, if not larger organization, which is Ellevate today.
Yeah, it's probably a backstory that most of your listeners can relate to, which is that, the road is not always straight. The path is not always clear. And it takes a little bit of confidence in yourself, some creativity, some risk-taking, and some luck along the way. And that's how I got to where I am today. I started, as all English majors do, working in investment banking, and quickly realized that corporate space was not right for me. It was too stifling. And I would not have thought of myself coming out of college, and particularly coming out of college during a time when entrepreneurship and the internet and everything that came with it was still very, very new. I would not have considered myself an entrepreneur, but I knew being in this corporate environment, I wanted to make change. I wanted to do things differently. I had lots of ideas, and no one who wanted to hear them. So
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, right?
How the tide has changed. I love it.
Although, of course, now that I'm later in my career and I think of what I must have been like during that time, I can imagine some of the hesitation. But no, so through a friend that I'd gone to school with, I was introduced to a company called Vault.com. It was a career media company, kind of similar to a Glassdoor, but this was before Glassdoor's time, where we were interviewing hundreds of thousands of employees at companies and taking all that research and data to create profiles on what it was like to work at America's top consulting firms, law firms, banks, and beyond. So I started there actually working in sales. And it was an opportunity that when it was presented to me, I said, absolutely not. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not interested. And my friend said, just try it out. I think you'd be great at it. It's a great company. Try it out. I said, nope, that's not my thing. And I mean, I'm, all of 21, 22 right now. And she convinced me to try it out. And I'm so happy that I did, because it was this opportunity to learn different skills that are incredibly important in business, around negotiation, around how you talk about your business, relationship building. And I ended up, after staying at the company for about 9 years, being the VP of revenue operations in North America when we sold the company. So it was great to be on a senior leadership team during a time of exiting the company. And then post-exit was asked to lead our global expansion into new markets. So all of that was really exciting. Big learning curve. I took on every challenge, tried to learn as much as I could. And then when I had my first child, I decided to take a little bit of a break. And I never know actually how to tell that part of the story, because I think it's a tough part when we talk about leaving the workforce when you have children, which is a really personal and important decision. And for me at that time, it was because I had created a work environment for myself where I was just going a million miles an hour, putting 110% into everything I did, and just didn't know how to navigate past that. So I took about 6 months off, and then joined the founding team of another startup called Zeal in the health and wellness space. So again, experience at a company very, very early stage, so a different type of experience than what I'd had at Vault. And I was there for 3 years, leading all of our strategy, operations, fundraising, you name it, which was great. And I learned a ton. And then I just realized that, massage wasn't getting me out of bed every day. It wasn't my passion. I love getting them. I love the company. I love the people I worked with, but something was missing that was really pulling on me personally. So I embarked on a little journey where I talked to dozens of professionals in different industries, different functional areas, different career stages, to really understood what made their careers important to them, what they found fulfilling. And through that process, more narrowly defined what was important to me, where I wanted to be.
So I want to just jump in here for a second, because you're saying some amazing nuggets, and I want to make sure our listeners are capturing it. When you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to build a business, one thing I'll always say is go out and do your market research. Whether that is you, whether you're in a career and you're thinking about what's next for me, what you did is you took that pause and you did your market research. And that information becomes invaluable, because the good, bad, and the ugly of what you learn starts honing you in for the next steps to take. Mm-hmm. And it's so important every time we go through any transition, whether it be a career path, a business path, a life path, is to talk to people, do the research, do the market research. Love that.
I still use it today. After I did that market research and I ended up coming to Ellevate, I still today, I really rely on the people I meet in our industry, outside of our industry, people at similar stages of their career and beyond, because it's those conversations. If you really care about those relationships and you care about what other people are experiencing and their perspectives, and there's so much about the importance of diversity of thought and diversity of interpretation of situations and markets and beyond. And so it's one of my key drivers of success on a personal and professional level, which is, always talking to others, being a good listener, understanding their viewpoints and perspectives. And then how do I digest all of that into something that's actionable in my business and authentic to me?
Love it. So now being a working mom, mm-hmm. X many years later, how do you navigate when we're working, going that ability, because we get involved and we get passionate about things, of going at 110%. That was your methodology early in your career. And the work life of, and I'll say I don't necessarily believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life priority. But mm-hmm. How do you prioritize between your career, your family, and everything else we do as women?
Sure. So now I have 3 children. They are 4, 6, and 9. Benjamin, Morgan, and Zoe, and they're great, and I love them very much. And I agree with you. It is, it's so many shifting priorities. Every day is something different. I learned a few key things along the way. For me, one, it does take a village. It absolutely does. And recognizing you can't go it alone. So it's, having the right partner. And to be honest, that right partner and yourself, probably when you start, when you first meet each other or whatever, you're not thinking about what type of a parent will you be. You learn right? In professions and careers in life, we grow into roles. And so it's someone who's open to growing and open to being a good partner and communicating with you on what you both need. That's also friends and neighbors. I don't have, it doesn't have to be family, but it's just the others around you that are there to support you and vice versa. Two, you learn what's important to you, right? If a clean house is important to you, great. If, healthy home cooked meals are important to you, great. But you have to just figure out what are those few key things that mean the most to you that you're going to focus on. And then outsource. If you have the ability and the privilege to outsource some of those tasks, then do it. I, for example, have, groceries delivered, and it sounds like something so small, but for me, I can grocery shop at, 11 o'clock at night after I'm ready to go to bed. It takes me 10 minutes and then they arrive, and it just saves me that time, because at the end of the day, what we're talking about here is time. There's only so many hours in a day, and you have your career, you have your family, you have extracurricular, activities and priorities, you have yourself. And it's just, how do you allot, what you're going to spend that time on to make it most beneficial to you and what matters to you. I'll say that. Oh,
go ahead.
Yeah.
I happen to think that's very true. And it's built, I'm a huge proponent of building a support team. Mm-hmm. That support team looks different for many of us. Some people outsource many, many different things. I love how you're referencing just have, for working women, sometimes it's just having the grocery delivered. I know I could be on the subway and filling my cart, right? And so, and all of a sudden there's fresh, nice, wholesome food in my house. Mm-hmm. It's the little things. I'm all for building relationships, and I think relationships are one of the key successes to all of us. And I'll reference my dry cleaner as when I call him up, and I might be heading out on a business trip, or I might be speaking and I need that dress, or on a panel, whatever it is, and he answers the phone, and he, with my caller ID comes up, that's how he runs his dry cleaning business. And he goes, "Good morning, Ivy. How can I help you today? What do you need?" That it's the little things that make all of this possible and adds up quickly.
Yeah, it's really true. It's so many of those touch points. When you think about what you do just in a given day, much less a week or a month or a year, you need that support system. And that's become, it sounds very like it's been invaluable to you, and it has been to me.
So in building this career that you've built and building the life that you've built and your family, what have you seen has some of the challenges that you've navigated in this journey?
I think every new stage of that journey is always going to be a challenge. There's a learning curve. There's some reflection you have to do on yourself, on where you are, how things might change. Different jobs, one might require travel or different hours or a higher level of mental, stress and strain. So it's just always shifting priorities and experiences. And it's, understanding, okay, does that landscape look like, and how are you going to respond to that landscape? And that's the same, just as you can be the CEO of a business, when you're the CEO of your life and your family, it's the same thing. What is our long-term strategy? What are the current risks to that? How do we adapt and how do we respond? And so I would say for me, some of those specific challenges might have been coming to Ellevate. For example, I love my work here, but I do travel quite a bit. And so it became, all right, how do we navigate this? How do we make this happen? And we have, and I give, back to support networks. My team here, my husband, our friends and family have all been hugely supportive of my children of that. But then I have the ability that when I'm not traveling to really be fully present and to, kind of get some time to myself and to my family. And so I would say every day is a challenge in some way. It's a new opportunity to push yourself further. And sometimes that can be scary, but it's embracing those challenges and embracing those uncomfortable times can, I think, always push us to just be our best selves and to do more.
What I love to hear that you're looping together is that challenges can show up with opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So when we lose the resistance around, oh my goodness, this is a challenge, or this could be difficult, or anything like that, is know when it appears to say, oh wow, opportunity is here.
Yeah.
And how that shifts the mindset and how we can show up and the results we get from there.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's always so much commentary around confidence and having confidence in yourself and your abilities. And sure, I mean, we all have, in some way confidence, but in many ways we're nervous, we're afraid, we're scared, we're like, oh, can I do this? And it's about believing in yourself enough to know, okay, I may not have this all figured out, or I may not be perfect or even close to it, but I'm going to try. And if I fail, I fail. And that's not, the end of the world. Failure is in and of itself a great learning opportunity and a great way to open up different doors. But just saying, okay, I believe in myself enough that I'm going to go out there and I'm gonna at least try.
And you said early on, which is just some great points, of confidence, creativity, the willingness to take risks, that luck will travel with us. And I think as we show up with the confidence, the creativity, and the willingness to take the risk, the luck kind of rides, it's your champion.
Mm-hmm.
What has surprised you in this journey?
I've always, which might sound a little bit jaded to say, but I don't mean it in a jaded way. It's the kindness of others. Okay. For me, I'm a huge proponent of, be nice to everybody. Everybody, that you come across and you work with, and always be willing to give something. When someone needs advice, they need support, they need a connection. It's important to me that I, put in the 110% to help support them if I can. And vice versa, I've always been surprised by how many other people live by a similar ethos, which is, how do you support someone who needs a favor, who needs you to pick their kid up from school, who just needs, a hug. But it's become an important part of me as a professional, me as a person, which is having others in this world that want to see me succeed and want to support me in that journey.
I love that. I really do. And what tips do you have for women out there these days who are coming up in their careers, who are building their businesses?
I would say, so going on that comment that I was just making, I would say, don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to reach out to others, but try to be as upfront and clear about how others can help you. So what I mean by that is I probably get, I don't know, I can't even imagine 20, 30 a week notes from people. Can we meet for coffee? Can we, let's go out for a drink. Let's do something, which is hard for me because I don't have, as we talked earlier in the conversation, I don't have all that time. And sometimes we don't need to meet in person or coffee or drinks. I'm always here to help. And so if you can say very clearly, I'm looking for X, or I'm hoping you could help me with Y, that there may be something that's easier and I can provide support and more quickly. So just be very clear about what the ask is. And I don't think that asking is not a negative. It's not bad. That's we all live in a world where it's give and take. But then also think and ask of yourself, what can you give back? So how can you support others, and be intentional about giving back as well. We at Ellevate have these events, so called these mentoring meetups, and it's kind of like this speed dating for mentoring. We always have a very clear topic we're going to cover, and our aim is that in the course of an event, you will meet, 5 to 7 other women, get their advice on a very specific topic, and then we want you to take action that next day. So this is all short-term actionable goals. We want to see women continue to move forward. But I'm always surprised at that event how many women or how few women raise their hand to be a mentor who think they don't have anything to give back. And in reality, women have so much to give and so much insight and so much good advice. And so think about, what you can give back to others. And it doesn't matter where you are in your career, or where you work, or what your title is, or anything like that. Even if you have chosen, or you're not working, there's always something you can give back to others. And so as long as we are very intentional in our asks and very intentional in our gives in return, that I think we'll continue to see women supporting each other and succeeding.
I love what you're saying, because I love, and I encourage people to ask, speak up and ask. And the generosity of women and people, women and men, when you ask and when you're specific about it, is massive. And as we lose the unsureness of should I ask, can I ask, how do I ask, what will they think, let all of that go and ask that specific question. Completely. For instance, Kristy and I were connected through a mutual acquaintance, right? And I asked for something, and one of it was an interview, but more than that, it was a connection to some other great women that we're going to be having a series on for her success story. And Kristy immediately said, here's a bunch of people, check them out, let me know what you need. I'll introduce you. And it was clear, concise, and that's the generosity of Kristy, that I will say, as well as so many other people out there. And I love that as a tip. And be willing to ask, ladies and gentlemen, be willing to ask.
Absolutely.
So share a little bit about Ellevate. What do you see about the women who get involved? Actually, a male colleague just said, hey, did you ever hear about Ellevate? I got invited to this event. I'm going to go.
Great.
Which I thought was cool. I thought was great. What do you see going on in Ellevate today and in the future?
Well, so it's really interesting because Ellevate's actually been around for 20 years. It was formerly 85 Broads and came out of Goldman Sachs. So it was an alumni network for women out of Goldman Sachs. Sally Krawcheck bought the network in 2013, and then she brought me in to run it day to day. And my background traditionally had been in startups. And so really thinking about this intersection of technology and how we're innovating in new spaces and in new ways. And so when I first came in, we're talking about a really successful business, but one rooted in many of the tenets of 20 years ago. So it's all about the in-person connections and the events, the education. And that's important. I mean, we're humans. We need human interaction. That is really critically important. But for me, I kept thinking about, okay, how do we accelerate impact? So how do we help more women make more intentional connections, help more women get ahead? And how do we do that in a way that really addresses who our audience is? Because when you look at the Ellevate community, it's women cross-industry, cross-function, cross-geography, and all career stages. There's power in that, being able to connect with others in other industries, other functional areas, or those that are truly your peers, but we're busy. We talked here, you're busy, and some women have time for events, or they love the in-person connection, some don't. So it's really, when we think about how we have evolved our relationships with others, right? Now that we've got text messaging and phones and email and Slack and Zoom and all these things, what does networking look like today in 2019 and beyond? So for Ellevate, we're doing 1,000 events a year, connecting women around, our leadership luncheons, which are senior women in business, our mentoring meetups, which I mentioned earlier, our annual summit, Mobilizing the Power of Women, which is June 21st in New York City. We then look at how those connections continue to thrive and flourish once the event is over. So we have our squads program, which are small peer groups, groups of 6 to 8 women who meet for half an hour a week online via video chat over a course of 12 weeks. That's really aimed at helping women support one another and meeting that next career stage. And we know that of the 5,000 women who have gone through this program, 80% have said they're more confident in taking that next career step. 78% said they are exposed to new ideas and ways of thinking about their career that they hadn't even imagined before. So that's powerful, that's exciting. And then beyond that peer networking, it's, well, what are those one-on-one intentional connections? So on Ellevate, we go beyond just your name, your title, your rank. We really look at what can you give the community? What are you looking to get from the community? So maybe I can give the community advice on launching a new business, but I'm looking for advice on how to grow my personal brand. And then we're going to make those connections so you're always connecting with other women who you can support and who can support you, because it's really about how we share that expertise, share that skills, and all move forward together.
There's huge power of women supporting women. And women go to bat for one another. Women call each other out when they see the confidence meter dip. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I remember sitting a while back at an Ellevate luncheon in Midtown Manhattan. And although there was a main program going on, the connections to my right and left, we couldn't stop talking. We were so engaged. And it was probably 3 or 4 of us, maybe 5 of us, that from different walks of life, different careers, different backgrounds, and it just clicked. And the many, many women I've met this way is so important and so vital as we're building our unique brands, whether you're building a business or you're not, you're always building your brand. And having the connections and the relationships that Ellevate gives us the platform to build is invaluable.
Yeah.
So, how do people stay connected to you and Ellevate? Give us some resources here.
Yeah, so check out Ellevate. It's 2 L's, ELLEVATE network.com. We'd love to have you join us at an event. Men and women are welcome to attend, or anyone who is interested in just supporting equality and diversity and others. So we have a number of topics that we cover, everything from professional development to inspiration. So we'd love to see you at an event. We'd love to have you join our community. And feel free to connect with us on Twitter. It's Ellevate NTWK. We are on Instagram. I'm also personally on Instagram, Kristy Wallace, or on LinkedIn as well. So we would love to start a conversation with you and get to know you better. So listeners out there, ladies and gentlemen, know to build your brand, build your network, because your network is filled with all the market research you need. Some amazing takeaways from Kristy today is having the confidence, being a bit creative, being willing to be that risk taker, and know that luck will join you in the adventures of building your careers, your businesses, and your lives, because it all comes together. Kristy, thank you for joining me at Her Success Story today. Thank you, Ivy. This was great. I really enjoyed it.
Listeners, if you have not yet subscribed to Her Success Story, please click that subscribe button and let us come into your inbox once a week as we do. See you back next time.